All right, we still have a few people joining. I think we'll dive into some introductions and let people get started as or just join as they come on. It is my pleasure to welcome all of you. My name is Tracy Hujek-Clark. I'm the principal investigator of Project Impact. Hopefully you've heard our name before today. Project Impact is a federally funded Department of Education teacher quality partnership grant. We partner with several area school districts, including Toledo Public Schools, Perrysburg, Springfield, and Toledo School for the Arts. We have had amazing partnerships over the past 5 years, have had the opportunity to work with many of you in different types of professional development, as well as with our pre-service teachers. This is our fifth and hopefully not final year, but fifth year of the project is our final year of funding. And this is the third time we have hosted this winter conference. So we're glad to see all of you here. Hopefully you have a warm beverage. I'm going to turn it over for a welcome from the Dean of the College of Education and Human Development at Bowling Green State University.
Thanks, Tracy. Good morning, everybody. So as Tracy mentioned, I'm the Dean of the College of Education and Human Development here at BGSU, and I came in the wee hours of the morning from a national summit about the teacher shortage. So actually, I've spent the last, 2.5 days talking about everybody probably on this call because there was a focus on how do we prepare teachers, how do we retain teachers in the field, and how are we going to work more collaboratively and more creatively to do that. And it was in large part because of this project. I was very popular at the conference because people from all over the country were there, and I probably had at least 10 school districts say, "Oh, BGSU, I love seeing your students in our pool." Right? And that was true from Cincinnati to North Carolina to Colorado. And they talked about coming here for the teacher job fair. So in some ways, it couldn't be a more exciting time to be thinking about teaching, because there is a shortage. I think for the first time, when you walk out, you really are sort of in the driver's seat. We've had graduates, particularly in the high demand areas in special education, in mathematics, right? They are walking out with 3, 4, 5 job offers. And I've been doing this a long time. That's unlike almost any other time that I can remember. But it's also an incredibly challenging time to be a teacher. And I think one of the things that I appreciate most about this conference, and I have to do a shout out to Tracy and Beth and all of the Project Impact team, both at BGSU and in our school for our school partners. But I think that notion of really thinking about pedagogy, thinking about assessment, but also thinking about collaboration. How are we better in these kinds of conversations, right, that bring university faculty, people, our partners in districts together to be working with and talking with our teacher candidates. So I know Tracy's going to introduce Mona for you. I have heard her speak before. You're going to be inspired today. I hope you're going to be challenged today. And mostly you deserve a lot of credit, because it's a Saturday morning at the end of January. And this is the time of year when we all start feeling tired, and it's hard to show up for those things that can give us energy. But I do think that it's these conversations where we come together that will make a difference, not only in our professional lives and development, but in what we're able to do in our classrooms, whether it's on a university campus or in a PK-12 setting. So welcome to all of you. Thank you for being here. I'm always proud to represent BGSU, and it has nothing to do with what I do and everything to do with what the people on this call are doing. So thanks, and have a great day.
Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate the welcome, and welcome back home. I think I'm going to introduce Mona next. Just need to move some slides. So I talked a little bit before I introduced Dawn about our project, but I think it's important for us to share our mission. Before I introduce Mona, We worked very hard as a team, so a collaborative team between Bowling Green University and our partners to determine what the mission of this project was going to be, and spent several months actually talking about what we really thought the purpose of the project was. So I want to share that mainly, we are committed to equitably and effectively educating each child through meaningful partnerships focused on facilitating high quality, relevant professional development that supports and empowers pre-service and in-service teachers. And we have been proud to present lots of different opportunities for professional development, but this particular conference is a way that we can truly bring together our pre-service teachers and in-service teachers to learn side by side. And we're excited about those opportunities. So thanks for being here today. And now it is my pleasure. I have also had the pleasure of hearing Mona speak more than once, and I know that you'll be motivated today, but I want to share a little bit about her before I introduce her this morning. Mona Al-Hayani, I didn't want to mess it up, earned her National Board for Professional Teaching Standards certification and serves on their board of directors. She advises Youth for Creating Change, a student-led group. A two-time U.S. Department of Education Fulbright awardee, Mona has traveled around the globe as a teacher, leader, and researcher. She's a tireless, and I know that's true, advocate for her fellow urban school educators as the Vice President and Chair of Human Trafficking and Social Justice Issues for the Toledo Federation of Teachers. Mona brings to us a great deal of experience. She has talked with our pre-service teachers before, and they leave every conversation with her inspired and motivated, and I know we'll feel the same today. Mona, thanks for joining us this morning, and I'll turn the stage over to you. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you so much, Tracy and Dawn and Beth. You put a lot of pressure on me here, so I'm going to do the best that I can do. And really, when Beth asked me, what did you want to talk about, I really didn't know. And anyone who really knows me knows that I change things many, many, many times, but I hope that today you will gain something out of this that you can really start applying in your own classroom on Monday. So I am going to share, and we will get going. Let me see. Let me get out of that. Okay. I'm sorry, I got a new computer, and my students tried to show me how to use it yesterday, and it was a disastrous failure. So I'm going to do the best that I can do. All right, here we go. Not too bad. Okay, I'm going to collapse this here. Okay, so before I even begin, I would like to thank Bowling Green State University for once again including me in a Project Impact initiative. I didn't really know anything about Project Impact until they reached out to me, and I really feel out of all the initiatives that the U.S. Department of Ed is funding, I think this initiative really puts teachers and students at the forefront. I'd also like to thank Beth, who is the project manager of Project Impact, for her dedication, professionalism, and her patience with me. I don't do a lot of keynotes, so I hope that you are willing to work with me, because I am going to ask for participation, and I have about 10 $20 Target gift cards for those of you who unmute and participate. You will go into a drawing, and I'll get your addresses later, and I will send these out to you, because I know you're tired, and I know that your dedication is sometimes hard to keep, especially on a Saturday morning. So I am honored and humbled to be the keynote speaker for Project Impact's conference, and to be able to celebrate all of you. As a teacher for 27 years in Toledo Public, I have seen it all. I'm a product of Toledo Public, and my mother was a great teacher who became a professor who did not want me to be a teacher. It was something that to this day, all she says to me is, when are you getting your PhD? And I told her never, but I don't have the discipline anymore to get a PhD. But I learned from the best teacher ever, my own mother. So I will echo Dawn's sentiment about this being the time of year where we were all tired, burnt out. I was out sick this week, so excuse me I'm using my tissues, and I have a lot of cough medicine inside of me. So we're going to get through this together. But really, being a teacher in Toledo Public for all of this time and staying in the classroom the entire time, except leaving for 1 year when I was teacher of the year, I really fought leaving the classroom. What I realized leaving the classroom that year is that really I belong in the classroom. And it really was, it was really something that changed me. I really decided that it's not greener on the other side. It isn't. Our students are the ones who motivate us and keep us going every day. My teacher leader journey is one that began with the Toledo Federation of Teachers, my first year of teaching. I was in trouble, and the current president at the time came to me, and we really thought about, I was in trouble for talking to the media. I didn't know back then that you had to get permission to talk to the media, but it was for a good thing. My students were achieving at Woodward High School, and that was the beginning of my teacher leader journey. And I have been active in the Toledo Federation of Teachers my entire career. And it's important to note, and for me to express my gratitude and appreciation for the Federation, for their encouragement, guidance, dedication, and commitment they've bestowed upon me and all of its members. I saw, scrolling through, some of my TFT colleagues are on today, so thank you for coming to support. I feel that those of you who don't know this, you should seek out opportunities through your teachers union. There are numerous leadership opportunities that are springing up that you don't even know about. Me being a part of the Federation, I don't even know all of the leadership. I sit in meetings and I'm like, wow, that's amazing. I will mention to those Toledo Public School teachers on today, Toledo Federation has a teacher leaders program. You should be getting some information about that. You will be paid to create a project. So I hope that some of what I go over today might stir you to apply for that program. And the rest of you, reach out to your Ohio Federation of Teachers, your OEA, your local unions. Not only will you have meaningful opportunities to explore and participate in numerous pathways to teacher leadership, you will experience camaraderie, solidarity, and collective support. And once again, I need to thank all of you for still teaching, for going into teaching, and for staying in teaching. As Dawn said, there is a teacher shortage. We have issues with teacher recruitment and retention. And I'm going to address some of those in a different kind of way today, because I think what we need to do is redefine teacher leadership and think about all of these internal and external factors that allow teachers to have perseverance. And I think also that when we think about teacher leadership, we need to think about it in a different way. There are numerous pathways to teacher leadership. So I will get started. And this is really informal, so you can unmute and ask me a question at any time. And then when I ask for volunteers, I'm happy for you just to unmute if you want and talk. So what a teacher's life? Before we can even begin to think about cultivating teacher leadership and perseverance, we must look at a snapshot of a teacher's professional daily life. I will make fun of my husband, who I've been married to for 23 years. He does not understand when he texts me 10 times consecutively throughout the day why I'm not texting him back. I don't think that people who have never taught in a classroom really understand the pressure that we face, not even be able to go to the bathroom some days. Some days, some of us don't even make it to the bathroom. We certainly often use our lunch breaks and our planning periods to help our students. So teaching is not what people think it is. And I think it's important to also redefine the roles and the extra burden and pressure that teachers face. And my husband works very hard, but he sells cars, and I'll tell you, he's top in the nation. He does a great job. He probably makes 3 times the amount of money as me, and he doesn't even have a college degree. So I think that when you look at issues like that, I really think that we need to focus on improving the profession, but also fighting for a living wage, etc. But that's not what I'm here to talk about today. So I'm going to stop babbling and continue on. So let's look at a teacher's life. This is nowhere near a comprehensive list. I should say to you, on my lunch break one day, I was adding all of these items to these slides, and I left to go to my mailbox, and a couple of teachers in my room had added 5 extra slides with 5 extra duties on this. I left it at 2 for today in the interest of time. But when we think about a teacher's daily life, these are not things that people on the outside think about. These are things that we have weighing heavily on us all day. And we'll talk about culture and climate of schools as another burden or joy, depending on where you teach. And I want to provide a disclaimer that when I talk about some of the barriers to teacher leadership today, I'm talking from a general point of view. I think it's important for us to analyze what works and what doesn't, and not to place blame, but to try to find solutions. So that's my goal today. So legislatively, the past few years have been beyond difficult for public education, educators, students, and parents and guardians. We have had to navigate the numerous educational House and Senate bills in Ohio. During the COVID shutdown and remote learning and teaching, teachers were celebrated, and hope sprang that our professionalism, expertise, and dedication to our students was acknowledged and appreciated, and that reform could happen out of a tragedy of COVID. A lot of us thought that education could transform itself. I think things quickly changed, as in Ohio, we are facing even more legislative mandates, many of them unfunded. But as teacher leaders, these are ways we can bring ourselves to really lead and really tell the House and the Senate, and tell our parents and our communities what we need to improve, what we need for our students to improve, and what supports and resources we also need. So we have to use our voices. So how do we identify teacher leaders, or how do we even define teacher leaders? It's a little bit hard to think about how we can define teacher leaders. So what I would like to do is, let me go back. I got ahead of myself, so too much coffee. So let's look at defining teacher leadership. I'm going to tell you, when I gave Beth my topic, I am not an expert in teacher leadership, but I have almost 30 years of experience trying to become a teacher leader. And I think it's important to note that there's not an abundance or a plethora of research about teacher leadership. I was astounded at the lack of contemporary research on teacher leadership. So I implore you all today and urge you to think about how we can find a way to actually define teacher leadership and use those definitions to recreate how we see ourselves as teacher leaders. So once again, I am going to ask for some participation and feedback from you. So I have all of these Target gift cards. So for a few minutes, I'd like you all to think about these 3 questions. Now, the third question, we're going to save a teacher leader example that one or 2 or 3 of you may have for the end of our presentation. So for number 3, I kind of would like to hear from someone when we get there about why you think you are not a teacher leader, why you don't see yourself as a teacher leader. But let's look at how would you define teacher leadership? So think about that. What assumptions are made about teacher leaders? And do you see yourself as a teacher leader? Why not? We'll do the why at the end. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes or seconds to think about that. And I'd love for someone to start with their definition of teacher leadership. There is no right or wrong answer. Is that I'm bribing you with gift cards. So
I'll go.
Okay, go ahead.
So I would say like someone
Will you tell us
take-
who you are at which school?
Oh yeah, sure. I'm Tiffany Mills and I work for Toledo Public and I'm at Beverly. I'm an intervention specialist. I have a CCSE classroom, so self-contained classroom of 7th and 8th graders.
Hi, Tiffany.
And I would say that teacher leadership would be someone who, first of all, takes initiative and kind of is the first to try new things and like within their classroom, and then find out things that work, things that don't, and then share out those things with others. And personally, I know that question at the end, teacher leadership to me is like something that I don't necessarily see myself as being a teacher leader. However, like when I think about it in that perspective, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. Like I share out with my coworkers all the time about things that have worked and things that haven't. But I feel like there maybe is this stigma about like teacher leader that at least I have, and I don't know necessarily that I'm the only one who has that. But yeah, and then just being like confident in their own teaching skills and teaching abilities.
Tiffany, that's excellent. And really, you really redefine teacher leadership, and you're going to find out you are a teacher leader based on those things that you just said. All right, Lindsay, go ahead, Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Lindsay. I'm a freshman at BG going into inclusive early childhood education. I think a teacher leader is someone that uses the research behind their degree and kind of connecting that to their classroom, but also being a supportive colleague, a supportive teacher, really trying to go above and beyond for their students and make sure everyone is supported and that they're supported. So not just them, but all the teachers that they work with are also teacher leaders, because if one supports everyone, that can't work. They'll get burnt out so easily. So hopefully more than just one teacher leader. I don't see myself as a teacher leader right now because I'm not a teacher yet, but hopefully one day I am.
Well, I think not being a freshman and being able to come to those conclusions is pretty impressive. So, and just to think about even the possibility and prospect of becoming a teacher leader is something that as a freshman, a lot of freshmen probably don't think about. Can I get one more person to participate, please?
I'm Sarah Kobadia
Hi, Sarah.
from Toledo Public Schools. Ooh, Toledo Public. Anyway, I think a teacher leader, it's a person who have the voice in helping their students with, having a voice in the politics of helping their students in the building. Right now, I'm on the core team. So we sit and we make decisions about what certain things we need to do for the students at my school picket. And just caring for the students, interacting with the other teachers, collaborating, getting feedbacks about things that happens in our environment.
Thank you, Sarah. Victoria, I'll let you go too, and then I'll keep going. There's going to be more opportunities to get the gift cards.
Oh, it's not about that. I just want to say, I am Victoria Main. I am just starting as a substitute teacher at TPS. I just got my license and I have gone back to school to get my degree so I can go into teaching as well. And Miss Al was a wonderful teacher to both of my children, all 4 years through both of their high school. And I know from her that empathy and caring is really the biggest step, because she showed so much interest in my children outside of school. And they were just walking through one of mine. She's like, "Is that Miss Al? Oh my God, I love her." But I just think that is the whole real center of being a teacher. And maybe I'm wrong, but caring for your students has got to be the number one answer to that question, I think.
Thank you for the kind words, Victoria. The cough medicine and my sickness, you're gonna make me cry. Okay, let's move forward. Okay, thank you all for sharing. And I've written your names down, but at the end, I'm gonna have you stay on to put in the chat box your addresses, and I'll just take a picture of them. So here we go. Identifying teacher leaders. Well, I will say to you that there are many, many, many bulky and unrealistic conceptual frameworks detailing how to become a teacher leader. But I would argue that becoming a teacher leader is an organic process that does not result in a hierarchical construct. Genuine teacher leadership is fluid, and it is collective and a collaborative process. According to Elmhurst University, one of the confusions in defining teacher leadership and identifying teacher leaders is that leadership is not found in a position or title. Thus, we can use some of these identifying characteristics to identify teacher leaders, and all of the other characteristics like empathy, all of the other that Victoria, Lindsay, Tiffany, and Sarah talked about. It's interesting when Tiffany talked about misconceptions of teacher leaders and maybe people not wanting to be identified as a teacher leader. We need to change that mindset, because we shouldn't be ashamed to proclaim ourselves as teacher leaders. So for teachers, leadership is not about acquiring a position, title, power, or authority. It is about advocacy, voice, and influence. Think about how many times you or a teaching colleague has recognized a need or issue in your school, district, or community and set forth an action plan to address that need or issue. That is the ultimate example of effective and adaptive teacher leadership. I think we need to try to get some research done about how teachers adapt, and really most leadership that comes out of education on the teacher side is adaptive leadership. It's sprung from necessary reforms and changes that need to be made. And that's totally against some of the conceptual frameworks that we see that detail this hierarchical structure about how to become a teacher leader. Now, you're going to think, well, she's had too much cold medicine, but I'm going to talk to you about perseverance and grit. I think when we think about educational perseverance, we should look at this definition: persistence in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. This definition is a perfect example of how it feels to be a teacher on any given day. There are internal and external factors that contribute to teacher perseverance. Now, some of these factors that are internal are innate or learned attributes, such as empathy, resiliency, positivity, humility, vision, and tenacity. Those are internal. External factors are also contribute to perseverance. And some of the external factors are environmental conditions, not just the culture and climate of your building, but the actual physical state of your building, the actual setup of your building or your classroom. Is it set up to have group work? Is it big enough to do activities outside of the classroom? Those are all external factors. And organizational conditions and structures are also part of an external factor. So when we look at how we're going to redefine leadership, we also need to redefine and reform those organizational conditions and structures that have permeated most of public education. Those of us who have been around for a long time, you see a lot of great initiatives come and go. But I think frameworks for teacher leadership have not changed very much. It is still hierarchical. And I would say that we should flip it, and the teacher should be not at the top. We should be horizontal with everyone else. We should walk together, and we should think about solutions together. So how are perseverance and grit connected? Are they connected? Well, I'm going to argue that they are connected. When you think about grit, perseverance and passion for long-term goals, maintaining effort and interest over years, despite failures, setbacks, obstacles, adversity, and plateaus. I don't even have to really talk about what I just read to you because you all face that. Tracy talked about how Dawn talked about how we are in a place in teaching today where the pressures are insurmountable. The stress level, just the ability to get through the day sometimes as a teacher is very difficult, and perseverance and grit are interconnected. Think about some of the internal and external factors contributing to perseverance. I would like you all to take a minute to identify your grit level, high, medium, low. And I want you to also think about one internal and one external factor that you would like to change that may improve your grit level. I'll let you think about it, and then I'm happy to take 2 volunteers if anyone would like to volunteer to tell us where you feel and your grit level today, and giving me either an example of an internal or external factor that you would like to change to improve your grit level.
Hi, my name is Raina. I teach with Toledo Public Schools, Jones Leadership Academy of Business. I want to say my grit level is high because I refuse to accept the answer no. I will find a way, some way to make it possible. And I run into a lot of adversity, obstacles, setbacks, failures. And I've been looking at this about the teacher leadership and how everyone spoke on it. And I'm really considering it. And I see some friendly names that I know as well. And they probably will say the same about me.
Thank you for sharing, Raina. And I believe that they will say that about you. And thank you for giving a shout out to Toledo Public Schools. Again, we have so many teachers on here to support, and I do appreciate that. It does make me a little nervous. My peers make me nervous, but if there's one more person, I'm willing to take one more. I do have more gift cards than I thought, so go for it. If anyone else would like to tell me where your grit level stands today.
I volunteer. I'm another TPS teacher, and I don't remember, Mona, you came and talked to one of my students who was in crisis, who's finally, hopefully going to graduate this year. Anyway, my grit level has come and gone. I've left teaching multiple times, and I always come back over the course of the last, I graduated from college in 1990, so with my bachelor's. What I find is I've lost track of myself. My ADHD meds haven't kicked back in. I haven't kicked in yet. For me, what keeps me going back, honestly, is the kids. And what I'm finding this year, in the last few years, we don't talk enough about the grit for teachers. We talk so much about what to do to help our students, and our students don't have this. They don't know how to overcome obstacles, but very few people are talking about this particular thing in terms of teachers. And I think that it's really important. And I think that, I'm seeing more of it now, but like, I know at our school, I'm lucky, I'm at Wait, we have a really great culture with our educators. We all work very well together and help each other out. But I guess for me, I'd say it's high grit because I keep coming back. So I'm gonna stop talking now. I apologize. I didn't realize my meds hadn't kicked in until I started talking.
You're doing fine. Thank you for sharing. And maybe when we get through this, I think you all will be able to look at internal and external factors affecting your perseverance and grit differently. And it is true, there is a lot of research on student grit. And it's very controversial as well, obviously, but teacher perseverance and grit are interrelated, interconnected. And it's something that we really need to look at when we're looking at cultivating teacher leaders. Thank you all for participating, and don't forget to stay on after so I can get your addresses. So what are the barriers to cultivating teacher leadership? Well, there are many. I'm going to talk about these today because I'm going to flip it, because we're going to try to find solutions to these. And some of you already have solutions that you are using in your districts and your schools right now, and you will be very familiar with some of the solutions. So as we begin to think about cultivating teacher leadership and perseverance, we must focus on barriers to teacher leadership because they certainly do affect teacher perseverance and grit levels. According to the Center for Comprehensive School Reform and Improvement, divergent literature demonstrates that top-down management structures impede the development of teacher leaders and consequently impede school improvement. These management structures must be mobilized to be more horizontal and less hierarchical for teacher leadership to flourish. Research from the Teacher Leadership Exploratory Consortium suggests that healthy and collaborative schools and school district cultures are essential and necessary in cultivating and maintaining effective teacher leadership. A healthy and collaborative culture and climate cultivates, supports, and advances teacher leadership. And teacher leadership, in effect, contributes positively to healthy culture, climate, student achievement, and teacher retention. Inadequate time for collaboration, learning, and leading, as well as a lack of incentives for engaging in leadership activities have been shown empirically to impede the development of teacher leaders. I don't think we need to go into too much discussion about how teacher leaders certainly have an impact on student achievement and teacher retention. But the reality is that there's very little research that that really definitively states that. And I really believe after creating this for you all today that my next project is going to be trying to define teacher leadership and also try to create some substantive data sets, do some case studies on some of our teachers. So I might call on some of you to participate in that, just so we can look at some data and we can use that data to create change. So is it even possible to cultivate teacher leadership and perseverance despite the daily obstacles, expectations, requirements, pressures, and barriers teachers face? I will argue yes. But we must switch from the hierarchical management organizational structure to a horizontal one. Utilizing the barriers we just discussed as a starting point, let's explore some possible solutions that will grow teacher leaders and improve teacher perseverance and grit. So let's look at some of these. I don't think they're crazy to ask for. I think that within our own schools, some of us have already started to change how we do things in order to cultivate teacher leadership. Distributing responsibility and opportunity throughout the school and throughout the district and shared decision-making is paramount. That way, everybody has a seat at the table, and teachers who are on the front lines, teachers who are the greatest problem solvers, will be able to reform and be able to create and break down these barriers while creating a new pathway to teacher leadership. Supports, resources, we can't be teacher leaders without those. And those don't necessarily come in monetary form. They can come in a variety of forms. And honor and respect for our profession and our expertise and our educated opinions and our abilities really is something that fits into perseverance and grit, but it also will allow more of us to become teacher leaders. Okay. Now, creating meaningful opportunities and time schedules, this could be tricky, but I offer this to you based on some research that was done in Great Britain and in France and in South Africa. There aren't many American studies that talk about how we can even adjust our regular public school day to accommodate teachers in this way. So why is it important for teachers to have this collaborative time during the school day? Well, you all have families. Many of you do other things in the community. You're working other jobs. You have children. So it's also important because identifying goals can be a difficult process for teacher leaders. And team collaboration time is paramount in being able to effectively identify goals. Your school/district goals can be short-term and general at first as you develop more specific long-term goals. Build your goals on successes you may have already had in your own classrooms, school, etc. Teachers are in the best position to create solutions to the issues they face every day, but we must redefine teacher leadership and provide greater autonomy for our teachers. Identify your strengths and weaknesses and seek out teaching colleagues who can bolster your strengths and help you with strategies to improve your weaknesses. Practice self-reflection. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Effective teacher leaders consistently collaborate with colleagues to learn from them and gain much needed support. Therefore, we must have time during the school day to accommodate that. The American Educational Research Association states, a key source of support for teacher leadership is a strong network of colleagues. This network of critical friends/colleagues provides a safe and trustworthy forum for working through difficult problems. There's more, these are more ways that these are more solutions to really think about the barriers affecting teacher leadership. It's important to start with the barriers. We need to address that before we can move forward. Monetary incentives, ongoing teacher created and teacher delivered professional development, and teacher release time is essential in cultivating teacher leadership. In addition to improved enforcement and follow through with student behavioral policies, comprehensive and effective school management, comprehensive and effective school safety are essential components in improving teacher perseverance and grit. I don't believe that public educators and students have ever faced some of the safety and violence issues that we see in our schools across the nation, across the state of Ohio today. And I'll just share a side story. A young teacher who reached out to me, a young history teacher, a new history teacher. I went to visit her and I asked her, how come your door is shut every day and locked from the outside? And she said that she was afraid for school safety. And it kind of broke my heart that this 21-year-old, a student or a teacher, that was one of her main worries throughout the day. So we do need to fix some of those external factors. School climate and culture is very important. Now, your teacher leader journey. I promise you I'm wrapping up. Your teacher leader journey, okay? So though Toledo Public School teachers on today, these are all some of the roles that you already play and others too. Some of these roles and teacher leadership opportunities were mutually agreed upon between labor and management. Some of these are replacing our teacher-based teams from the state of Ohio, but I would argue you're already teacher leaders. So let's look at some of the roles you already have. And again, it's not always clear what teacher leadership entails because for many, many years, teacher leader job descriptions primarily focused on administrative functions. The work some of you are already doing in your schools show that progress has been made in some of your districts and schools. And I'm sure these will be familiar to you. So if you look at these, you'll see many of you have already participated in these, but you still probably don't think of yourself as a teacher leader. Some of the research says starting small and sharing your expertise and documenting what you're doing in your schools that work, in your classrooms that work, and sharing it with others is the first step of teacher leadership. I urge and implore all of you to also extend your teacher leadership journey and be sure to think about how you can share what you're doing, not just in your own classroom, but at the local level, at the state level, at the national level. I'll say to you, for those of you who work in urban public education, a lot of the conferences and summits that I attend, and I attend a lot of them, a lot of the people presenting are people who've been presenting for a long time, or they're people who have been presenting who have not been in the classroom, and that is not, I am not trying to demean what they're doing. What I'm saying is it's important for those of you who are in the classroom, who are experiencing the daily routine and hardships of a teacher, to share what you know. Also, those of you who accept pre-service students as your student teachers, I thank you very much for that, as I started teaching at the University of Toledo last semester in the Department of Teacher Education, and it has been an eye-opener about what students know and what they don't know as seniors getting ready to really go out and teach. So I thank all of you. You're a teacher leader if you're taking student teachers, for sure. Those students really rely on you. So I just want to let you look at this and think about all of the ways that you can start small and extend your teacher leadership journey. The Ohio Teacher Leadership Summit is in June. They're not taking proposals anymore, but next year you can submit a proposal, and don't ever think that your proposal won't get accepted. You have no idea what teachers will be interested in at any given time. There's so much that we face. So don't be afraid to fail. If you submit a proposal and it doesn't go through, that's happened to me many, many times. You just have to keep going with it. But I truly believe that teacher-led, teacher-created professional development is really how we grow teacher leaders. So when we think about engaging and leading community efforts, addressing issues your students face, Sarah talked about that a little bit, how having your students or you get involved in issues such as making sure that you all are politically inclined when it comes to educational issues. Look, I hate to say it, but education is politics. We cannot separate politics from education. So, vote for state board candidates and local school board candidates who are going to support teachers and students and support teacher leadership. And think about who you're voting for on a larger level. We need to start putting people in who are going to be able to support a reformed public education system. So as teachers, you are the experts. You are the problem solvers. You are the only ones who can redefine teacher leadership and recreate public education in the 21st century. So I'm going to end. You all should know that when I practiced this before, it was 2 hours. So I cut a lot out. If anyone wants my full presentation, I can share it with you via Google. So let's go back to the question about, do you see yourself as a teacher leader? And if so, why? I would love for a few of you to share some examples. I think we can go for about 5 more minutes. So is anyone willing to share some examples of your teacher leadership journey?
I'll share mine.
Thank you, Laura.
I'm Laura Weaver. I'm the gifted intervention specialist at Bowling Green City Schools. I'm also the coordinator for gifted services. So I have a unique population of students, and I am definitely an advocate with grit, because that population needs an advocate that will constantly put them in the forefront and make sure that they are being equitably served. So I also present at most of the Ohio Association for Gifted Children conferences, our spring session and our fall session. And I'm presenting today, obviously, to help general education teachers get on board to the gifted population, which is, sometimes like pulling a lot of teeth. So I always advocate for our gifted population, but I work collaboratively with our teachers across the district as well, because not only as the gifted intervention specialist teacher, I'm also the coordinator, and I have to make sure that we do whole grade testing in our 2nd and 4th grade. So that requires a lot of being very compassionate and very democratic when it comes to adding something to a teacher's schedule. And usually, you get a lot of pushback, but yeah, I think being a teacher leader and everything that you've talked about has been awesome. The different things that you have to do, you have to keep pushing, and you have to be willing to just sit back and think and find ways that work, and re-examine and, like you said, reflect on some of the things that you've done that haven't worked and things that do work, and keep going with it. Anybody in the gifted population, as far as teachers, will tell you that we get a lot of pushback all the time. We're usually the one person that's out in the water by themselves. We're floating on a log sometimes, and we have to really just, keep pushing ahead for those students. Many, many, many times I have thought, oh my gosh, can I just go back to teaching English language arts? And then I think about the students I have, and there is no way in the world that right now I could leave this program behind. So I agree with everything you said as far as being a teacher leader and making sure that you keep pushing for those things that sometimes, those obstacles that you think, that's it, I'm done, I can't go anymore. And then you take a little break and you come back and go, okay.
Thank you, Laura. Thank you so much for sharing. I appreciate it. Jody, and then Susan. And then I think we have to end so people can get to their session on time. Go ahead, Jody.
That's okay. Good morning, Mona. And I also have the privilege of having a daughter as your student. So I'm Jody Goldstein, and I'm an intervention specialist at Larchmont Elementary School. I have K-3 students, and I'm in a CCSER unit. And I'm at the opposite end of the spectrum as Laura, but I'm a tireless advocate for my students and their families. If I have students that are absent, after more than a day, I call home. We have parents that don't understand when their child's not there. They have to write a note, or they have to call the school. And I have many conversations with parents like that, because they get truancy letters and they don't understand, why am I getting this letter? And the office doesn't care why, it's a generated, they have to send the letter, that type of thing. I am the Clear's Day representative in my building, and I'm constantly trying to put books in the hands of my students and other students in the building. And last year, there's never money. I don't know what happens to the money, who spends the money in these accounts, but there is never money. Last year, I was able to get an author to come to the school for free. It was somebody paid for, it was a grant, and Read for Literacy picked up the tab for us to have an author come in. But that was, you know, many calls, many conversations, many emails in order for me to get that to happen. So I do think I'm a very tireless advocate for my students. And I don't think it matters what direction, if you're at the gifted or you're at the special needs spectrum, you know, that's part of being a leader. Really briefly, Mona, I have to throw this out there, and you don't have to answer now. But I was thinking about this as you were having, you know, I'm Esther's mother. I have to do this. Do you think a good teacher is a teacher lead? Can you be a good teacher and not be a teacher leader? And can you be a teacher leader, but not necessarily a good teacher? And good is, of course, very general, because when we ask our students, how are you feeling today? And they go good, we're like, no, that's not a feeling. You can't answer that way. So I'm hesitant to use the word good, but just chew on that for a little while, because that made me think about it as you were talking about this. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, do you think, I almost feel like teacher leadership is an oxymoron. I sometimes feel that teachers feel the only way to get into leadership is to leave the classroom. And they feel like, I can't tell you, if I had a nickel for every time somebody said, oh, you should be an administrator. And my first response to them is, and I'm apologetic to any administration that's on this call, I think it's a demotion. When you leave the classroom and you become an administrator, you're demoting yourself, because we are on the front lines. We are making the biggest impact that we can make by being in the classroom.
Thanks, Jody. I agree. You don't have to leave the classroom to be a teacher. That was my whole mantra today. Susan, can we do this really quickly so I don't eat into our presenters' time? Go ahead.
Absolutely. I will try to spit it out really, really fast.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I just want to say thank you to all of you who are involved, all the teachers out there. We need each other. I have been on the teacher line. I've been a parent. I'm also now, I like to say, a lot of times I only say a paraprofessional or just, which I feel we are a very important part of all of our extended teachers. I love what I do. I'm in the Perrysburg School District. I feel very supported at Toledo Elementary. I definitely feel that I'm very passionate about learning from all perspectives. I sit back, I support teachers. They know they can come to me. I don't care where you're at. I will be there if you need me. I want to be respectful to our teachers that have been doing it longer than I am. I just, you know, I think it's important also to recognize everybody in the district. I try to bring sunshine when our grayest days are happening. I think that's important for it. I do things for not only the teachers, but the custodians. I recently did something. We're all one and need to help each other. So I thank you all for everything. Again, you do. Thank you for sharing. I definitely feel energized, and go teachers. We're a lot, only what our students have a lot of times.
Thank you, Susan, and to everyone. And I'm reading the comments finally in the chat box. I couldn't have asked for a more gracious audience. Thank you all so very much. I'm going to put my email. Those of you who participated, I'm going to put my email in the chat box. If you would email me your addresses, I will send you your gift cards. Thank you again to Project Impact. I can't express my gratitude to you. Thank you all. And good luck to all the presenters who are coming up next.
Thank you, Mona, for kicking us off today. We appreciate your comments and everyone's participation today so far, and I hope this energy continues. I'll just put a plug in for this conference next year. If you're interested in presenting, this is another way that is with classroom teachers in our area and pre-service teachers. So we'd love to have you apply to present next year with us. So I just want to give a little bit of directions for what's going to happen next. We'll have a short break so you can go warm up your coffee or your tea or your hot chocolate, whatever's keeping you warm this morning. We will leave this session. So you will actually click leave meeting, and then you will click on the link for the session that you want to attend. I just want to remind everyone that we are recording all of the sessions, and we will send out to anyone who registered for the conference today a link to all of those recordings. So if there's a session you can't decide between one or two, pick one and then you'll get the link to the other recording sometime next week. So that'll give you the opportunity to hear from all of our amazing presenters today for those that you can't, for the sessions that you can't get to. Session 1 will begin at 10:15. Those of us that are hosting those Zoom rooms will turn those on quickly, recognizing that people might jump in and then go get their coffee, but give us a minute to get those opened up. And again, like we said, we'll record those. There'll be another session, so you might leave that Zoom room that you're in and go to a different room for a different session, or you may see that there's two in the same room and you could just hang out there, but those will begin at 11:15. At the end of that session, we'll come back here to this initial link. We'll do some breakout or some discussions from our breakout rooms today from our different presenters, and we'll give you some more information about evaluation of the conference today and how you can apply for your certificate for participation today. So thank you again for the amazing participation today. Thank you again, Mona, for inspiring us and helping us think about ourselves as teacher leaders. I just appreciate all of the educators that I've had the opportunity to work with and have wonderfully taught my children as well. So thanks, everybody. Enjoy your sessions. I know we're going to learn a lot together today, and I look forward to seeing you back here around noon. So you can leave the meeting and then click on to your next session. Thanks, everybody. Have a good morning.